Season 2 of the Pat and JT podcast.
Oh man, I'm here at last. The best time, always gonna be the best. Come on!
Exclusively on the Herd App Media Network.
All right.
Man, I can't believe it's already Friday. Thank you guys. If you're watching on YouTube, Twitter, and on Facebook, we appreciate you watching. Otherwise, make sure you watch on Fridays. We're here every Friday live, thanks to Centris. Uh-oh, hold on. I muted you. Gosh dang it.
Shocker.
Sorry, I muted you, just in case. You just never know.
You never know. I know it. And I'm feeling a tickle in my throat right now as we just were talking about this. I'm like, I don't know if we should record it, but we're gonna go live and see what happens. I start coughing for no reason. And it's awful. So
let's bring in our safety buddy because he's gonna you have to go dark and have a coughing fit. John Carroll is back. Well, he was.
He'll be back shortly, I'm sure.
Okay, we'll just.
We were just having a hilarious conversation, and we're like, "Everybody, shut up!"
Oh my gosh,
we got to start this. We got to start this right now because too much funny shit just happened.
Oh man, it was awesome. Yeah, I mean, John got a call when we were prepping. John got a call from like a spammer on. Did he fall down? From a spammer on his landline. After we just got in talking about how we're all turning into our parents, and he started messing with him because it was some whatever trying to sell him.
You hear the landline ringing, and then you hear the phone. He's got one of those phones that tells you call from so and so, and you're like, that's such a grandpa thing. I love it. And then he gave her all kinds of grief.
Yeah,
and basically ended it with he's allergic to the sun. I don't know where he is.
I don't know what it was.
I don't know what's going on.
Like you're at the point now with you're transitioning into the part of your cold where you cough incessantly and you can't stop.
Can't stop. And it's learned something. I didn't know the same. And there we got our medical professional on with us, John Carroll. I didn't understand that the same muscles that help your body cough are the same muscles that also can help it throw up, if you call that help. But it's the same. So sometimes if you cough too hard, it's really gross. It's awful. And you can't stop because then I'm grossing myself out. So I'm like, this is terrible. So anyway, so if I go dark, all of a sudden you'll know why.
You cough so hard that if you cough so hard, you could puke and then possibly toot. And I bet probably pee a little bit. Like you have everything just like I
can't go anywhere.
Yeah. I can't take you anywhere.
I haven't gone anywhere all week. I'm just like, I came home Tuesday and I haven't left yet.
Yeah.
So I'm not gonna risk it. I can't imagine if it happened at a store.
Oh my gosh.
You know what I mean?
Oh yeah. That'd be the worst.
So anybody else that's going through this, because John, you said you guys went through this too, didn't you?
Yeah. So the last time I was on, we were talking about playing Frogger and everything. And literally that weekend, because my godmother who lives next door, we were playing with her. The next day I called her and she sounded like death warmed over. And she's like, "Oh, it's just allergies." And I'm like, "It's not allergies." And no, it's allergies. I just know it's allergies. But you didn't sound like this yesterday, and the trees were the same, and the grass was the same, and everything was the same. So it's not allergies. And Chad and I were literally in your face for 3 hours, if not more. And we just both knew. We're like, okay, well, we're going to lose about a week and a half here soon. And 2 days later, we sounded like Helen. I smoked too much.
Yeah. Oh, Pam just said, I remember trying not to cough in school and you thought we're just going to die physically and socially. Maybe that was just me, but you're right. It's like, you don't want it because everybody, and now especially, you don't want to cough around anybody because everybody looks at you sideways, like.
Yeah. Can you stop a sneeze? I can't.
I've heard that if you you look at the sun or a bright light, it's supposed to, but that has never worked.
No, it'll make you sneeze.
Oh, make you sneeze. Yeah. Maybe that's why it doesn't work for me. So that I've been.
It's like if you got a sneeze that's like coming, but you can't get it to go, just look at the sun, and boom, you'll sneeze.
Oh,
exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. And I had. Remember we were talking about this? I had to sneeze with my mouth open because I couldn't sneeze through my nose, and that was the beginning of this journey. This last 2-3 weeks has been shit.
Yeah, yes, and she is still available.
Oh my God. My son and I have huge sneezes. Denise says it hurts.
Yeah, I'm a loud, obnoxious sneezer. But my sister, my youngest sister, when she sneezes, this is her.
I know.
I know.
Like her whole face, like it's like a tuba is going to come.
I love the sneezers that are like choo choo choo, like super quick. And then we've got Nick, who's up here, works for us. He has a loudest sneeze and nose. The loud
When he
nose
blows his nose.
It's jarring.
And God bless him, because when you gotta blow your nose, just blow your nose. I mean,
Right. But it's almost like Beth it sounds the exact same way. Like it's like, holy cow, what was that? And I don't know how certain people can just blow your nose normal and other ones are trumpets.
You'd think that they would make a device that you could just sneeze into and light your house for a day.
Right?
Right?
Wouldn't that be nice?
If we could bottle that, right?
Elon,
Right? This would be
discover the sneeze conductor and leave Twitter alone.
There's got to be a way. There's got to be a way. Kathy said she's on the same journey right now too with the sneezing and coughing thing.
Yeah, it must be like flying around because Chad and I have been together. It'll be 20 years in September, and I can't think of a time that we were both sick at the exact same time.
Right. That's weird too. On top of the fact that you're in the same space that you would think that it would be, but I was knocking on wood all over the place. It's like I don't remember the last time I was sick, like a cold, allergies. One thing, some sneezing here and there, but that kind of has crept into my lifestyle the last couple of years because I never used to have allergies. But then
the older we get things that we never used to have anyway.
Yeah.
It's just like that is not like it used to be. That's not normal. My lip, like I said, my lip's thinning, my ass is flattening.
Turning into your dad.
The blades totally turning into Frank. Which isn't a bad
Your
thing.
very eyes.
Right. Yeah.
It's okay. I'm turning into my mother. So
we were talking before we came on about those progressive commercials of it, and they are absolutely genius.
I mean, and the sad part is they're deadly accurate. Like
everybody,
we're not going to talk about parking spots.
Right. Right.
Everybody goes through it. That's why they're so relatable. They're so relatable. So I get it. So anyway, so I'm drinking my throat coat tea. Did you see my little
Throat coat?
Yes, I was drinking the tea, and of course we have bees, so I was so happy because we have honey from our bees, and the mint was coming up, so I was pulling mint and drinking tea and lemon and the whole thing. And
that's definitely the throat coat. If you need to buy tea, is really good. But like I said, stay away from dairy products. Stay away from caffeine. Tea is fine, but it's not the best because it's still got caffeine. Those are the things that will really mess with your throat if you're coughing a lot. But this tea is made for that. And like you said, good tea with good honey.
Yeah.
Speaking of honey and bees, I learned something yesterday that I didn't realize this. I always called the big bees, like I guess they're bumblebees. I always called those yellow jackets with the yellow stripes.
Ooh,
And then I learned yesterday that a yellow jacket is actually a different kind of bee. And then there's honeybees, and then there's a yellow jacket's a wasp.
It's a wasp.
I learned something again today, right now. We had a bug guy over that was spraying for ants, and we were talking about it because Beth's terribly allergic to honeybees, and we were just talking about it. And yeah, he pointed that out. I've always called those big bumblebees yellow jackets.
That's funny. We just were talking about that same thing literally yesterday about that people who are allergic to what they think are honeybees might have actually been stung by something different, and like a yellow jacket, especially if they've been stung like in the late summer, early fall. That's more likely to be a yellow jacket. And yellow jackets are ground dwelling. So if they're like in their garden or whatever it is, so they sometimes get them confused when they're actually not allergic to bees and not realizing they're allergic to wasps.
Wow. What are those other ones called? They're not bees.
Carpenter bees.
What's that?
Carpenter bees?
No. They're those
big
great, big, huge
cicada killers.
Cicada killers, essentially.
Yeah. Those big hornets.
Yeah.
And they don't bother you if you don't bother them.
Yeah.
But they are annoying because they
you don't ever mean to bother any freaking bee, but like they're not mean to you until you bother them, but you brush one branch that they want to go touch, then that's bothering them, and then they attack you. So I'd stay away from those. Those things are huge.
So quick little story on that. So last weekend I was working with the bees, checking to see. So when you check your hive, you look to see if they're queen right, which means there's a laying queen, and you pull up the frames, kind of hold the frame up. It hits the light in the right way. You can see the individual eggs in the little honeycomb when they're laying. So I'm doing all that, and one of my hives did not have a queen, but they were still laying. So it was just workers, which eventually will the hive will die if you don't get a queen in there. So I had to move some stuff around. So anyway, I was doing this for 2 or 3 hours, got everything straightened out. And so I got done, took all my bee stuff off. And so I was standing back about 15 feet and I was just watching the bees kind of going, settling down and all that stuff. And standing there. So I don't have my bee stuff on. And this bee literally flew by and bumped into me, flew. And it's like, how, and I was tracking it as it was going towards a hive. And then it was like, it flew like 7-8 feet away from me. And it went like, wait a minute, who was that? Like, did a U-turn and I could still see it. And I'm like,
he was buzzing the tower
for me.
John, he was buzzing the tower.
And kept coming. And it was like all up in my hair. And then I turned instantly into a cartoon character. I mean, I'm trying, and it's me battling this because she's going to sting me. I mean, she's like decided that I wasn't supposed to be standing there or I was in her way and she's now going to kick my ass, like whatever it was. So I'm trying to like get this bee out. And then of course I lose all composure because I'm just like not in the mood to get stung. And I've been stung, plenty of times with our bees. So I beeline it through the orchard. Chad's got all these new plants that he's got in our bee yard. And I know he'll kill me if I step on them. So I'm trying to like negotiate his new little plants. And I'm fighting this bee at the same time. And there's tiny house people that are checking in. And they're just standing there looking at me. So finally I have to whip off my shirt because I know the bee's up there. And I punch it all up. And I've got the bee. And then I'm like smashing my shirt up, trying to get it like, and then I'm listening to see if it's still in there. And then I like shake it out. And I'm like, okay, I won.
Made it to the other side.
Oh my God.
Well, this week we have a lot of bee talk because I sent you that picture on Twitter about the plants. If you look at plants that they're selling, this was from Home Depot. Somebody had posted this that some of the
neonicotinoids.
They have that pesticide used, which is approved by the EPA.
Yeah.
Even though it kills bees.
And butterflies and all kinds of other pollinators. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And so you want to be careful when you're buying your plants to see if it says that it was treated with that pesticide. So you don't kill
so what they do is you'll see the word, it looks like neon. If you just look for the word neon on there, they'll do a warning. So what they do is they take that and they coat the seeds in it because it's like an antibacterial, antifungal, and it's primarily like used in corn. So if you go to a place to buy corn seed and it's pink or orange coated, that's the neonicotinoids. But it's literally it's like in the nicotine family.
It's got nicotine in it.
Yeah. So that's where that neon piece comes into the whole thing. But what happens though is once the plant germinates, it actually pulls all of that material into the plant itself and it makes it into the pollen. So it's all being carried through the entire plant. And it's not totally conclusive yet. And they think it's probably multifactorial, but they think that there's a immunosuppressant, basically it's a chemical that the bees just don't need, but because they use pollen to mix with honey to make what's called bee bread, they feed it to every single bee that is born. And so what they think is just all those bees are less healthy, have lower immune systems. So when they're dealing with viruses and other things, they're just not as resilient. And then you get what's called CCD, which is colony collapse disorder. And the bees just do fine. And then the whole colony just collapses.
Oh, man.
And then, so I had 13 hives going into the winter and only 3 came out.
Jeez.
Wow.
Yeah. I lost 10 hives this winter.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That's something. But yeah, I've been reading more on that, just kind of like how we all want the fully green yards and everything. And all that is basically a desert wasteland to pollinators, right?
Right. Yeah.
So if you can plant like a what it looks like wildflower garden almost, even intentionally make it look, that's fine. But just
even like the perimeter of your fence.
Yeah.
Just take 2 or 3. You'd be surprised if you actually did that and your neighbors did that. You'd create these insect corridors for the insects to be able to like travel and all that. But, people don't think about like bugs. I mean, obviously people don't necessarily like bugs. I think they're cool and, all that stuff. But I mean, our insects are in trouble as well. Like, I mean, there's certain areas that we've lost 80 to 90% of our insect population. There's areas that the birds now the numbers are dropping because they don't have the insects to feed their young. And if you just knew the role of insects in our food, it's ridiculous. I mean, we just can see around here in our acreage and our little oasis that we've got here. Every year we're planting new stuff. Last year we planted over 600 Nebraska native wildflowers. So we're planting stuff that's sustainable for our area that will thrive. You know, it's cool to go to the Home Depots and the Lowe's and Menards of the world and get that new cool plant. But a lot of those plants are so hybridized that they're just not, one, they don't hardly have any nutrition for your pollinators to begin with. And number two is they're just not going to last. You might get them to come up 2 or 3 years and they just die out. The best thing you can do, and we've got some really cool flowers that are really pretty from spring all the way to fall. And there's a guy out in Lincoln. It's, I think, Midwest Nurseries, something like that. But he's just this young kid. He's in his 20s and he's just geeked out on pollinators and growing natural stuff. He'll show up at like mall halls when they'll do their little like weekend things. But you'll see him at farmers markets. But he raises during the winter in his greenhouses all the natural stuff, and then he sells them. And the best thing you can do is just make a bed, just one little bed of like Nebraska native stuff from spring to fall, and you'll have all kinds of fun insects coming to visit you.
And you'll get hummingbirds and butterflies and all that good stuff too. And I'm thinking about that on my back, that back area where people walk by my yard on the backside of my house on the street, because I'm on a cul-de-sac. So the backside people walk by, it drives my dog crazy. And I'm like, okay, what can I plant that'll attract a lot of bees?
That could sting people.
Get people to stay away from my fence.
Great idea. Great idea. Now, do those big not yellow jackets, bumblebees, are they just like a one sting and done? Is it, or are they a multiple stinger?
No, they would be a one sting and done as well. I believe, because bees have a barbed stinger and wasps are just a spear. So the reason that wasps don't pull out their venom sac is that their stinger will retract, and it's just literally like a needle.
So they can do it again.
And then they can just keep injecting you and go off and do their thing. The bees, the barb goes in, the venom sac gets pulled out of their abdomen, and then it continues to pulse. And that's what
slow motion videos of that. It's crazy.
Yeah, and it continues to put the venom into you. So the best thing you do with the bee sting is get that thing off of you as quickly as possible.
Yeah.
Throw some ice on it and hope you don't have an allergy.
And I thought my brother for the longest time got stung by a yellow jacket, but now I'm just are stung by one of those big ones. But a long time ago, he got stung multiple times, so it must have been a yellow jacket, which is craziness.
Years ago, I was at a football game, and Chad, my mom, were trying to sort this out. He was in the garden and he was pulling weeds, and he pulled up a yellow jacket nest, and he got hit like 8 times, and like 3 of them were in his face. And he didn't know what he had gotten stung by, and because they were attacking him, he literally was doing that whole cartoon thing, took off all of his clothes, and then ran to the end of the driveway because he thought if he was going to pass out from the bee stings, at least he wanted somebody to be able to see him in the street.
That's like very thoughtful. I never would think about that.
Yeah. So he ran up to the driveway, and he tried to call me first, but I was at the football game. So of course, there was no reception there. So he calls my mother, and my mother is like on the Google machine trying to figure out, instead of like calling 911, they're on the Google machine trying to figure out, like, am I going to die or not? .com. And so my mom's like, put toothpaste on them. Yes, I see an article right here that says you're supposed to put toothpaste on them. I'm like, I'm sorry, but if he's having an anaphylactic reaction to the yellow jackets,
EpiPen.
Yes, we found a naked body with a man with toothpaste all over his face on 240th Street. We think it's some new crazy sex cult. We're not sure.
Oh my God, that's hilarious.
Man found naked with toothpaste and a bottle of Crest in his hand.
Oh man, that's hilarious. Mother must be
sending the toothpaste to the lab to see if it's poisonous or not.
Speaking of toothpaste, what toothpaste do you guys use?
Whatever's on sale.
Okay, so
that's a good question, actually.
Yeah, because I've always, and we've talked about this before, my entire life, well, not entire life, as long as I can remember, I've used Close Up, which is just a red gel.
You mean like it's like candy with?
Yeah, but it wasn't. But even my dentist hadn't heard of it. The last 2 dentists I have hadn't heard of Close Up.
Oh my God, I remember Close Up. It was like cinnamon, and it was red, and
I
tasted good.
I love Big Red Gum. I love cinnamon, and they and it was like $1.50 at Walmart. Right,
Yeah.
you know, love it. And everybody made fun of me. They said it was like the trashiest gum you could possibly use. So I got
Oh, I'm
shamed.
sure. I mean, it's
Yes.
like, yeah. So I got my teeth cleaned yesterday and they said, "Are you a Crest or Sensodyne person?" And I was like, "Well, nobody's asked me that." I'm like, well, I guess Crest. I'm like, because I mean, I usually buy the twofer, whatever's on sale.
Yes, same.
And and 2 boxes are stuck together. My brain goes, "Oh, that's good. I'll take those."
Mm-hmm.
Do you think Jill died?
I think she went camera off, so she may be either
Pooping,
or-
peeing, coughing, sneezing, or
Or-
all the above.
She's just exploding.
God, that's funny.
I know. Well, I mean, so when you go to when was the last time? Do you go to the dentist every 6 months?
I do.
Supposed to?
I'm pretty good about it. But now, it's the doctor's offices, because they have all the things now. They've got like, your text messages, your email address. I'm like, anytime I set an appointment to go see a healthcare provider, dentist or otherwise, I feel like I'm being stalked. I mean, my phone is constantly, "Hey, don't forget tomorrow you have your appointment," which they started 3 weeks before the appointment.
Yeah,
And
right.
so I get like the text. I'm like, "Yes, I know I have an appointment tomorrow." And so now it's like, you can't like not go. And so you have no excuse to say, "I am so sorry, I forgot. And I didn't get any of your text messages, your emails,
Your
your
facts.
instant messages through Facebook. I'm
Your
sorry,
teeth.
I didn't get any of those things."
I've been completely off the grid. I didn't get all of them.
Right?
Sorry,
You
guys.
okay?
I don't know if I'm going to last, but we're going to try.
Okay.
Okay. You said what about me?
We were
I
just
said,
wondering if you're like, when you sneeze, did you also poop your pants?
I just see Nikki said she's going to love that you said that. I was
Yeah.
like, what? I didn't hear that.
You were just exploding all over your house, is what we were saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm the tears.
Well, I mean, yeah, you look like you've just went and watched The Notebook.
Oh my god. Just real quick.
Yeah. Just real quick, Notebook. All right. Well,
Hey, quick question.
Yes.
Are you guys Ozark fans?
Oh, I love that show.
I've
But
never
I heard
watched
the
that
end is
either.
terrible in this season.
Oh, have you finished watching it yet, JT? Oh, okay. I won't say nothing.
Were
Woo!
you disappointed or were you happy?
No, I mean, it all fit. I
Okay.
will just say, without giving anything away, there is a scene, towards the end of the show that I think might be one of the best shot, paced, directed, acted, tense, dreading, scary, like horrifying, like
Everything.
those minutes. And then what follows after that. And you go through the whole season and you just go, well, of course this is the way it would be with everything that has happened with all these characters and the subject matter and everything. But it was just I love great writing, great directing, great
Yeah.
acting. And
Did-
the last two were actually directed by Laura Linney and then Jason Bateman, which I thought was really cool that they directed the last 2 episodes of the series.
And I like both of them so much.
To me, it's right up there with The Sopranos, Game of Thrones, Breaking Bad. It's right in there in my top 5.
Great show. Did you ever watch Westworld?
You know what? I watched the first season for sure. I think I started kind of getting into the second season, and then I have so many shows that I started like that. Like I got a season and a half or so into,
Yeah.
and then something else, or I got involved in something else,
They
came
had
along.
3 out. Their third one came out in 2020.
Okay.
And it was kind of left something to be desired, but season 4 is coming up.
Okay.
So that's
Stranger Things. I've watched every season of Stranger Things. Love Stranger Things.
I'm super sad that This Is Us is ending. I think that's one of the best shows on TV. And Mandy Moore said earlier this week, I think it was on Instagram, where she talked about reading the script for next week's episode. So it's the second to last episode, and she threw up. She's like, it was so emotional and so intense. And then the last episode, she just said like a hug or whatever. But I think that show is unbelievably good.
It's just
I
so
never
fun.
really got into it.
Really?
I fell out, and so it's hard to get back in. You know what I mean? It's like I need to go back to where I dropped.
Yeah. No,
But
for
like
sure.
you, John, you have so many things, and then
Mhm.
sadly sometimes things just kind of go away. Nikki, same way. I'm so sad This Is Us is ending. Pam says apparently I need to build a spreadsheet of everything that we are streaming and where we are in each show. And that's really a very good idea.
Right. You need to have an app that just lets you know, like, where you know, like that's tied somehow to your phone, or like you just automatically knows, like, hey, don't forget you didn't finish season 2 of the
John,
Flight
we need to
Attendant.
talk to the dentist and find out what app they have to remind us of our
Right,
appointments,
exactly.
and then
I'm like,
create
oh,
that.
well, next thing you know, you're going to go in there and dentist is like, well, thank you for coming, and you need to finish the Flight Attendant.
Exactly. Now, do you have Hulu, John?
I'm so ridiculous. I have all the things. It's so
Okay.
bad. I have
You-
DirecTV and all the apps. Like,
oh my
I
God,
mean,
you
I know it's bad. It's really bad because just to try to dismantle it all is just so daunting. And then with my little ADD brain, you know, the sticker shock wears off after like 20 minutes, and then
well,
and then
that's
the
the
next month I'm
problem.
like, oh, that's right, I'm supposed to cancel DirecTV. I keep forgetting to do that 2
I
years
kind of
later.
went through the whole list of everything. So I've got everything down and kind of weeded out some stuff. But Hulu, there's a really good show on right now. We talked about this before, and I'm up to episode 5. And we just talked about this too. Jessica Biel in Candy.
Oh, Candy! I want to see that because she looks like Justin Timberlake playing a woman.
And he's in it.
That's what I heard.
He's there. Episode 4 is where you
Yeah.
meet him and Jason
Yeah.
Ritter.
I heard she's incredible in this
She is.
role.
Have you ever seen the TV show Sinner with her in it?
I
she
saw
produced
like
it too.
an episode or two. I saw a little bit of it. Yep.
Yeah, she produced both of those, or was one of the
Good for
producers on
her.
both of those. Yeah, I like her a lot. She's good.
Yeah.
So yeah, she keeps telling that. Everybody kept telling her that your hair from 1979 looks like Justin's hair in 1999.
That's awesome.
Very good, very good.
Another I think it was on Netflix. It's called Landscapers. It's Olivia Colman is in it. It's one of those like anthology, like, I don't know, 8 episodes. That is a good one to watch. It's English, but it is really, it's based on a true story.
I have a hard time watching it English. I can't. The
No,
accent
you're
drives me
kidding. Oh my
crazy.
God. I will
Relaxes
watch
me.
anything
Yeah.
that's got a good English actor in it.
I
Like, we're
can't.
going to go see the Downton movie, the special screening on the 18th. It gets released on the 20th, and we're going to see it 2 days early.
Oh my
Because I'm part of the Downton Club, you know.
Oh my goodness!
I'm
I
a
will watch
dancer.
Outlander. I'll watch Outlander over and over and over.
See, I
That
haven't
actor.
seen that, or Witcher, or any of those kinds of things.
And another one, Outer Range.
No,
is
I haven't
another
seen
one
that
that's out
either.
there. It's
Yellowstone, I have not
Stick
seen
with it.
Yellowstone yet.
Outer Range has a really amazing twist. I didn't see it coming, and it's
Mm.
with Josh Brolin. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And it
Gosh, there's
is
such good television. I mean, so many, and I do like the fact that they're like, I like this series that are like 8 episodes and then they're done.
Mhm.
I can finish that. It's like when I was trying to get my first degree done, I could never make it through a whole semester. But then when they went to the quarter basis, like at Metro, I'm like, yes, I can do that.
you can do that.
I'm like, yeah, give me 8 weeks and I'll stay. Give me
This is
12 and I'm gone.
The ADDBA.
Yeah.
ADDBA.
Right.
ADDBA, that's funny.
I'm a 15th year senior.
Whatever. One week at a time, dude. I'm gonna
right.
get through it.
That's right.
That's awesome. Well, John, thanks for popping in today.
Yeah, thanks, Johnny.
Yes. We're only 3 minutes over.
I know.
We did really good. We're trying to not go forever because we probably can just sit and talk.
We don't want you to have to go screen off
And my
again.
last
So-
thing is, whoever stole my coffee in Danish last week when I was getting my stuff out of my truck, I literally stopped at the mill in Lincoln and got a coffee and a Danish. And I had to unload a bunch of files and stuff. So there's like a little ledge, and I walked in the building, put my coffee and Danish on there, hot coffee, and Danish was warmed up, turned right around and went to my truck to get my files. Less than 3 minutes, went back. My coffee and Danish was gone.
What?
Yes.
No way.
It's a
does
mystery. And I'm like, I want to see the cameras. I know you have cameras. Like,
The balls of somebody.
there's a dentist office in this building. I know you have cameras.
Who does that? Take anybody else's food.
I even looked in the trash to see if maybe like the cleaning person, just happened to sweep by one last sweep, before the day started. And no, nothing. Like, it was just
The minute
gone.
you grab that and it's hot coffee, it's It belongs
Like,
to somebody.
and it was hot. Like I had went from the mill right next door to there. So, I mean, it wasn't like 3
That's
minutes,
crazy.
from the time I went there, another 3 minutes to my car. And I mean, and I wish there would have been a camera on me because it was like, did not compute like,
No,
Yeah.
that's
so
weird.
like, and like looking around like, wait, am I crazy? I know I put my coffee here.
Yeah, it's like, did the timeline
Like-
just glitch on
It
me?
was like, and I'm like, oh, you gotta be freaking kidding me. Somebody
Right?
just walked off. So I went back to the mill and I'm like, and they're like, was something wrong? Or they said something to that effect. I'm like, no, you're not gonna believe this. I left here, went over there, I set my stuff down, went to my truck to get my work stuff, went back, to get in the elevator, and I said, somebody walked away with my Danish and my coffee.
That is
So
so
it became
cool.
quite the little funny buzz thing, and so they replaced it for free. And I offered
Well,
to pay
that's
for it
cool.
like 5 times. They were very sweet at the mill. But yeah, we just had this total laugh. Like, who does that? Like, I mean, especially
Right.
today's day and age with all these weird viruses. Like, why would you just? So I told him, I said, well, somebody apparently needed that coffee and Danish way more
Right.
than I did.
That's a great
You
way
don't think of having to grab an emergency Danish, but
right. You never know.
It
Never
was
know.
so funny. And to this day, I have no idea where
that's funny.
what happened to it.
Well, what's for breakfast this morning? Have you had your breakfast already?
Yep, right here.
Okay,
Banana.
awesome.
Banana.
Banana and coffee.
I'm sticking with my tea. I don't trust anything else.
Yeah.
right now.
I feel
Uh,
you.
All right, Johnny. We'll see you next
Okay.
week.
We'll see you guys.
Thank
buddy.
you.
See you later. I want
Bye.
to thank everybody for watching. If you're watching on YouTube, Twitter, or Facebook, we do it every Friday. Thanks, Centrus. Otherwise, download the podcast wherever you get the podcasts.
Pat and JT Podcast, a Huda Media Production.